is the meat we've gotten out of the 10 pounds of leg quarters we deboned. And we're going to add to this 1 pound of rib trimmings. Now there was quite a bit of chicken fat or skin here on the chicken, but I removed about half of that because I'm adding the rib trimmings. And I think these rib trimmings are just fine for running through the grinder. But first we're going to kind of go through it a little bit. I'm removing some more of the chicken fat, some of that we don't want in there. And then we're going to season it, mix it up. We're going to chill it for a while. Well, now I think it's time to add the seasoning to this meat. Now for this 7 pounds of meat, I put 4.5 teaspoons of non-iodized salt. Use something like Kosher salt, sea salt, work. Canon salt would probably even work. 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of dried marjoram, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon of mustard seed. And I also added 1 teaspoon of garlic salt and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Okay, after adding the seasonings and mixing it up, we set it in the ice box and let it chill for a while. Okay, now we get the meat out of the ice box. We'll fill up our tray on top and fill up the throat of the machine before we start grinding. Make sure everything's ready to go. Now this grinder does the job. It doesn't take long to get through this meat, although it's chicken and a little bit of pork, mostly chicken. I believe I said earlier it was about 6 pounds of chicken and 1 pound of pork trimmings. She's ready to operate now. All we got to do is step on the pedal. Oh yeah, she's going to town now. And we just drop it in there and it just takes it on. No problem whatsoever. Well, we'll speed it up just a little bit here to get through the grinding. And we'll add a little more of what we ground already back through it to make sure there's nothing back there. Make sure we get it all through there. Clean it out. And it looks like we are finished grinding this meat. Now again, we got a double grind out of this. We didn't have to send it through a second time. It ground it twice in one pass. Now we're going to mix it a little bit more here, make sure it's well incorporated there, all the seasonings and everything. And we'll start stuffing it here shortly. Now this tank here is will hold 7 pounds, and that's about what I got here in this mix. So it should hold every bit of what I've got here. And as we place the meat inside the canister there, we push on it to make sure we get the air out. We don't want any air in this while we're loading the casings. and try to keep all we can out of it. Well, the canister are usually balanced there, but sometimes it wants to fall over, so wasn't sure what was going to go on there. Well, we get the canister loaded. Now we'll put it back into the press and get it ready to load the casings on there and start stuffing sausages. I like to keep the meat at a cold temperature while working with it, stuffing it, grinding it. And of course, it helps reduce the chances of any bacteria growing. And that is an air relief for the piston there. Now we'll get these hog casings on there and we'll start making chicken bratwursts. That's what I'm calling them. Now I'm using the 32 to 35 millimeter casings. And you notice I load it with water before I put the casings on the tube. This helps the sausage load better and go on the tube better, keeps it all wet, and everything goes a lot easier. Now we'll crank on it, get the air out, and then we'll tie a knot in the end there to start stuffing the sausages. Now I use a corncob holder to poke holes in the casing there to let the air out and to prick the holes in the sausages after they're made to help the casings dry, and it helps while cooking them too, whether you're on the grill, boiling them, or whatever. Now as we make our links, you twist the first one way and then the next one the other way, just the opposite. And just repeat until you get all of your sausage links made. Well, I guess we need to load another casing on here. Finish this out. And we make these links about 5 to 6 inches long. And we've placed them in this pan, and we're going to prick holes in all the sausages to help them dry out. And we're going to place them in the refrigerator for a while before freezing. Let them casings dry out and get tighter. And we're going to do this to both sides. We're going to turn them over now, and we will do the same thing on this side. Everything will be good to go. And when you're doing this, make sure the meat is kept cold. That's the reason I put it back in the refrigerator, and from time to time I may even put it in the freezer to let it chill a little faster. Now, no cure was added to this because we're not doing a slow smoke or a slow cook. we're going to vacuum seal them and place them in the freezer. Okay, we have them in the refrigerator where they're going to set and dry out for a few hours, and then we'll vacuum seal them and put them in the freezer. And if you make them like this is chicken bratwursts. And when you're cooking them, make sure you reach an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees. Hey, these turned out great and they taste fantastic. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you consider subscribing.